Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have McFarland USA. This, as I suspected yesterday, it either had to do with military or family or sports, and in this case, of course, it has to do with sports. This is based on a true story. It is from 2015. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes long, and it tells us the true story of a football coach, actually from like Idaho or something like that, deep in the Midwest, who kind of leaves, gets fired from his job because he made a mistake, and his temper got the best of him, and he kind of had to move to another place to get a job, and that happens to be McFarland, California, deep in the Central Valley area of California. It's not Los Angeles, it is not San Francisco, it is deep in the rural farm area. In fact, I looked it up on a map as I was watching it, and it is a small town. It is a very small town, and it is surrounded today. I didn't look at it from 1987, where this takes place. This takes place in 1987. It doesn't lean on a whole lot of like 80s music or anything else. It doesn't like, there are a few Spanish versions of certain songs that might be familiar to you from the 80s, but it doesn't do those, let's be very 80s and have the side ponies and the aerobics, and they don't try to do that. It's not an 80s movie. So, like The Wedding Singer, that kind of thing. It just tells his story as he has to take his family. They move to Central California, and it is a culture shock for them. It is to them, many of them, to the entire family. It's to the entire family. It is one of the very first things his youngest daughter says. They have two daughters. One's like 10, one's 15, or just turned 15 during the film. And that's important later on. When the youngest wakes up during the car ride and goes, "Are we in Mexico?" You get the idea that these are people who are meat and potatoes, not tacos and burritos type of family. And it is made very clear that this is going to be a bit of a culture clash for them. And it doesn't do it in a overtly racist way or anything. They're just not used to the surroundings, and he might be thinking some things, but he's not saying some things. Although when his runners right here, who happen to all be Mexican Americans, they go out running, they tend to draw out the racism and everybody else who's in cross country. Yes, this is not about football. This is about cross country. That's hence the shorts and shirts kind of thing. Okay. It's your standard, excuse me, it's your standard sports underdog kind of drama. You know how this whole thing's going to play out. If not, pretty close how it's going to play out. We've seen it with football and basketball and baseball and all the ball sports. This one is, of course, cross country. And in this situation, Kevin Costner as Coach White. Yes, White. And that gets played off quite a bit. As Jim White, he's Blanco. He doesn't get a whole lot of respect because, he's the white man who's in a very, very Mexican town. And the kids and their families their fathers before them are pickers, as they call themselves. They pick the vegetables from all the fields, and they're pretty much responsible for feeding the rest of California and beyond. So it's hard work, and it's a hard life a lot of them grow up into with almost no future. It's a very poor town. They have a school, and although I could not find it on the map, one of the things they point out early on is that the high school gives them the opportunity to go to the fields, or because often due to being poor, some people turn to crime, and there's a prison across the street. I couldn't find it on the map, so that might be just dramatic embellishment. And yeah, like all these based on a true story things aren't exactly going to be 100%. They have to sort of manipulate things to a certain degree for dramatic effect because, if it's going to be truly real life, you're not going to slog through every single detail because honestly, real life is fairly boring. So not all of us have lives that get made into movies. So, but it goes to the same tropes that you usually get with a lot of these sports movies. The coach, fish out of water. He's in an area where the community doesn't like him. He's not too fond of the community either. Kids don't like him. They treat him like crap. Eventually, he earns their respect, and they earn his respect, and he kind of forces together when he gets kicked off the football coaching team pretty quick. He takes on this cross country team, which the school has never had, and that's usually a thing reserved for much richer private schools, where it's just young white men just trucking along when they're not golfing, that kind of thing. So, yeah, the boys pretty much are in a situation where they don't believe in themselves. Nobody else believes in them. The coach is on the fence, but he's doing something. And again, I realize this is another one of those white saviors. Literally, his last name is White. It's one of those white savior type of stories. I know they mean well when they do these kind of things. It's not like they're like, oh, let's bring in the white guy and tell that story of how he saved a bunch of Mexican kids from poverty and going nowhere. Yeah, it's there. Let's just say that aspect of the story is there, but it doesn't make it any less inspiring. You do get to see, by the way, at the very end of the film, what happened to, when you get to see you actually get to see each of the real people as portrayed in this film at the end of the film, and to see what happened to each of them. And so along the way, I'm not going to spoil too much for you because you kind of know how all this works out. It's just the fine details that I'm not going to spoil for you. But they eventually get to, they don't think they're going to last long in this town, but they start to fall in love with the people of this town. The people of this town treat them pretty incredibly great. So it sort of works things out. And of course, the boys all have struggling home lives, and it's trouble with dad, or it's money, or just education and work. Work is more important than anything, because if they don't work, they don't eat. And it creates, there's all that dramatic tension, but of course, when you have a team of different boys, they're all going to have a certain aspect. One's kind of chubby, so he's kind of wondering why he wants to be on the team, but he's kind of wondering what good is he going to do for the team if he's the one holding everybody back. Because I learned something from this I never bothered to know, and I feel kind of dumb, but it's the fact that I didn't know how you scored in cross country running. I mean, it's not necessarily, it is a race, but not in the same way like a sprint is. It's you got to do your best time or placement, and then whoever has the lowest score wins, like golf. So the boys had to learn that as well. And so it comes down to everybody having their own little story. One boy who is just super fast, he's struggling with even doing any of this stuff because he has trouble at home. And the heavy kid, well, what is he even there for if he's probably just going to bring them all down? If he's going to end up being last, it's going to end up screwing up their score. So everybody has their own little story. There's also a story with the family. Yes, Maria Bello kind of gets left in the background as the wife of the main character. She has her own story arc as well as her daughters. More the older daughter than the younger daughter, but in order to keep it, exactly as it is, as the real life, they had to include everybody. So, Yeah, there is a pretty dramatic turn featuring the older daughter. And I have a feeling there's like a ton of stuff also left out in these stories. One for time, and two for just diverting different directions. It just didn't add to the main story. So yeah. By the way, some of the other people that are in this: Ramiro Rodriguez, Carlos Prats, Johnny Ortiz, Rafael Martinez, Hector Duran, Sergio Avalar, and yeah, there's a bunch of guys in this. So yeah. So I say if you're into cross country, if you're into sports, obviously you're gonna want to check this out if you haven't already. This has probably been on your radar if you're in cross country. They made a movie with Kevin Costner that's about cross country racing. Yeah, you probably already know about this. But hey, I didn't know what this movie was about when I first heard about it. I had to keep seeing it when it comes up in the list under M. Okay. And by the way, it is a Disney film. It is not a brought over from 20th Century Fox thing. It's not a Touchstone film or anything else. It's a Disney film. So you get the Disney level of storytelling. You're not going to find any rude language or, sexual situations or anything else. It's going to keep it pretty clean. So if there was anything untoward or anything kind of racy or wild in this story, let's just say it didn't make the cut. So, but yeah, Kevin Costner, plays a kind of a stern, middle-aged, grumpy Kevin Costner. So is he a latter day, oh God, why can't I say his name? Crap, and I wish I could edit this stuff. I can edit, but I don't edit this stuff. Yeah, the old cowboy. Why can't I say his name? You know who I'm talking about, right? Good, the bad, and the ugly? Come on. Okay, it doesn't matter anyway. He does come across, and isn't he on Yellowstone or one of those related Yellowstone shows? So yeah, he's got that old cowboy kind of vibe going, even in this. And this was 8 years ago. Clint Eastwood. Dang it, he has the kind of gruff Clint Eastwood kind of. Next generation Clint Eastwood, when you realize that they are probably 20 years apart in age. So yeah, he could be next generation Clint Eastwood, at least. Okay, so oh man, I forgot I reset this. But I charged it up. When it charges up, it doesn't bring the screen up immediately like I usually have it. So what have you been doing lately? As we wait. Okay. All right. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. Yeah, just to wrap this up. Yes, give this a shot. It's got that whole rooting for the underdog thing, but it's not going to surprise you by any means. Yes, there's a certain point where it kind of makes a weird left turn for a moment, but I think it's also meant to be the thing that. Okay, that he's supposed. Whenever there's a coach that's leading a team and they do really well, he gets courted by other schools. It happens in every single one of these things. Like, he's pretty great. Let's give him a job. Will he leave the kids he's worked so hard with, or will he go on to something better? There's that kind of drama. And there's a point where you're like, well, of course he's not going to leave these kids, but something happens that makes him go, no, I'm not staying around here anymore. And you have to wonder. But does it happen? Well, hey, it's real life, so you never know. That kind of stuff has happened in other films. But you'll have to watch to find out. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
105.
105. Come on. Oh my. All right, I have seen this film. I am very familiar with this film. We're going to have some fun. This was brought over from 20th Century Fox because it fell under the X-Men bubble, under the X-Men umbrella of characters. But it's not an X-Men. Oh, there's some X-Men in it. We're going to be watching Deadpool. Yes. Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. All right. I'll see you back here tomorrow with Deadpool and the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Like, no, I could have used red. I don't want to use red 2 days in a row. Dang it. See you tomorrow.